Morning, everyone. Still morning. Get in. Didn't even look before I did it. So yes, I'm Rob Wraith, Head of Learning Technology and Digital Learning at NCG. Have been for the last 2 years, and I'm a teacher by trade. So this is just to paint a little bit of a picture. I'm not coming in from a technical aspect. I'm coming in from a realistic aspect of how we try to bring in a library system that was fit for purpose across the 7 colleges of NCG. So where we started, where we've been, where we're going, and any questions at the end. I took a long time trying to set that little introduction up, as you can tell. Okay? The wheres were fine. Okay, so for those of you who don't know, or any that you do know, it's a little bit of a refresh on whatever you like. 7 colleges that sit under NCG. So we've got Newcastle College. Yes, I'm reading from the board, and I'm more than aware that you can read it yourselves, but I like to do this bit just to make sure I sound and make noises. So West Lancashire College, Newcastle Sixth Form College, Carlisle, Kidderminster and Southwark. So we're scattered all over the place. Now, what we did have is, and you just see on the whoops, no, don't do that. On that side, you see we've got different library systems that are sat in. So when I first became Head of Learning Technology and Digital Learning, what we were asked to do was to bring the libraries together in order to provide them with a single source of the truth, I guess, and a resource that all students and all staff could call upon. So no mean feat by any stretch of the imagination. So me accepting that and saying, yes, of course, I'll do that. I clearly hadn't done my homework before I'd started, because as much as we've got 3 different library management systems in there, we've got 7 different versions of the truth, which then started to make it even more complicated. So the initial conversations I was having with the staff were, so how do you use Liberty? Well, I do it this way. Right, okay, so how do you do it that way? Well, I do it this way. So the whole thing started to turn into treacle. So what we decided to do was to bring it together and start to speak to the library teams and make them make the decision. Yes, I'm a teacher by trade. Yes, I work in IT. I'm a learning technologist, innovator, call it whatever you like, village idiot, I don't mind. But the idea was that I needed the experts to make that decision. I needed them to have a look at it and say, right, what do we need to do? So we reviewed all of these to start with. So you can imagine, we're scattered everywhere. Isn't Teams wonderful? Huh? Would it cost us a fortune to bring everybody together? So we've got 16,000 students that are up in Newcastle, 1,500 in sixth form, 3,000, 4,700, 4,500 roughly, 2,500 and 2,700 in all of them. So you see what kind of geographical spread we have, but then also the students that we're serving. And being a teacher by trade, that's the main thing for me, that the students get the service out of the system and the staff are confident using it. That was the key. So we reviewed all of them, the ones that we had, and we thought, right, that's great. We've got kind of first, second, third. We thought, right, we're going to go and find some ones that we haven't had anything to do with. So Ex Libris, Folio and Koha, we spoke to them all. And I put a big black mark around that one, but a nice black mark, because that's the one we went with. And that was the one that the staff were confident enough to go with. They reviewed it, we tried it. Yes, I know I'm standing at a PTFS conference doing a presentation based around Koha, but there's one thing, I'll always speak the truth. And Koha did come out with flying colours on all counts. The support and the help that we got off them was phenomenal. So, nice sales pitch, and I'm not getting paid for this. But if anybody is looking to go with Koha, I highly recommend it. So there we are. So we looked at all of that, and we said, right, Koha's the way we're going to go with this. It'll suit us, it'll suit the students, and we've got the opportunity to be able to do X, Y, and Z with it. So the staff were bought into it, the library staff were bought into it. They had the ownership of this. It wasn't me then standing there going, do you know what, I think we should go down this route. Bear in mind, I'm not a librarian and I haven't got a clue. So the idea was, like I said before, for them to take that ownership and see where we were going. So we went with Koha. Reason being, because there's a bigger picture to this. We are, as part of NCG, we're looking to bring all of the resources together. Koha fitted in with everything that we wanted to do. We didn't want single pots of the truth and different bits all over the place. They made it unaccessible for students and staff to get the resources that they needed. So we're now in a position of creating a hub of activity, and Koha sits in the middle of that, being able to provide access. We're registered with JISC. We obviously have a JISC license, and we're able to bring in the ebooks and everything that we have into the Koha system. And it means that if a student wants to go and get some resources, they know they can log on to Koha, they know they can get access to that, whether it's at home, whether it's at work, at college, or wherever, and they can find exactly what they're looking for, rather than it becoming a challenge, which is what it was previously with the other systems. And that's no discredit to those other systems, not at all. We had different versions, and we had different library systems that were set up in different ways, and it was just very difficult to be able to manage that. But having Koha in there has enabled us to be able to do that. We've also got ClickView in there, and we've also got the other libraries with that we have with the Microsoft 365 suite. And it means that we've got the libraries firing on all cylinders. So it's not just a one-stop shop for, it's not just a one-trick pony, it's a one-stop shop for everything that they need access to. And Koha has now become a reliable resource that students have confidence in, staff have the confidence in to be able to use. And now we're at a point, I was saying in a conversation earlier on, to start developing it. So we have that black and white sort of foundation sat in there, and we now have the libraries who are taking ownership of those and wanting to try and sort of build their own resources themselves. So it goes back a little bit to what I was saying before, and the beautiful map that I created, if I do say so myself, is that, that's the bit where, you didn't have to. I was waiting for everybody else to go. It was wonderful, Rob, but I got nothing. So going back to the sort of that map, each of those colleges that are in there, there's much to see. Yeah, we've got them all under one roof, and we're all NCG. The one big thing that the colleges wanted was their own independence. They wanted their own unique selling point. When the student logs in Kidderminster, that it looks like they're logging into the Kidderminster Library Management System. When they're in Newcastle Sixth Form College, it looks like Newcastle Sixth Form College. So I wasn't shy in coming forward when I was having the wonderful conversations that I did with Janet, of course, because I'm leading up to an absolute belter in a minute, so just wait. So they're all waiting in anticipation now, and it's either going to go down like that. You know where I'm going, though. You'll get it. So I wasn't shy in coming forward, and we wanted to have the different OPACs for each of the libraries so that they then had that ownership. And it was agreed. They said, yes, that's fine. Oh, get in. That's that one marked off. So I was on a high. And we were ploughing through, saying, when would you like to have it all operational? And it was one of those it could have been a sort of a nervous pause. I like to think of it more of like a comedy pause, like timing, a bit like that. And I said to Janet, I went, 6 months. How long? 6 months. 6 months, yes, if that's all right, 6 months. And to be fair, we got it in 6 months. We needed to get it timed perfectly so that we didn't have to renew. We worked out the details and the dates of how that was going to happen, because if we renewed for a year, it would knock everything out of sync. And it means that some libraries wouldn't get what we needed. So to be fair to Janet and the team and everybody at Koha and PTFS who'd helped us, Bernard as well, wherever you are, can't see you. Yes, there you are, my close personal friend. I've never met you, but you give me. Teams is a wonderful thing. We'll go back to that one again. But Bernard did some super work on data migration. I clearly wasn't his best friend at the time when we were talking through this, but that bridge has been rebuilt now and everything's fine. I'll be leaving straight away just in case. So we got it in 6 months, and the staff were really happy with that, because that built the confidence. Built the confidence in the libraries being able to move forward. We had a system that we were confident with. That made all of the difference. And it goes back to that teaching bit. Yes, bread and butter, I'll stand in a classroom and I'll teach. That's what I would do. Been known to do star jumps and everything to keep everybody entertained, and I'm not going to show you how I do them. But the students are the most important. They were the central part of this, bringing it in so we can get the students involved in it. Because I can bring the best system in the land across NCG, But if nobody's bought into it, what was the point? No point whatsoever. So obviously you'll have seen JISC ebooks, but again, we're at a point now further down the path than we'd ever been when we were starting to bring in the accessibility to ebooks across all of the colleges. We're still working on those at the moment and making sure we've got to get in there. But again, the support that we've had has been phenomenal. We've had regular updates and just getting it right. And what it made it easier for me was that I was doing it once and that then spread out to 7 colleges. Rather than me having to do it once and having to do it 7 times with all the other different. So it made my life easier. Hi-ho, Mr. Selfish. But that was what we needed to do. Other considerations that I touched on earlier on were based around the software that they used. We were coming into a new age. And I'm sure everybody was well aware of COVID, lockdown, only being able to go out for an hour and all of those sorts of things, but still having a lot of work to do in there and to do it around that. So the whole landscape of teaching and learning changed. And we needed that software, that library management system that was able to cater for and do what we wanted it to do. So not a sales pitch for the likes of Microsoft and where we've gone and all of the other bits, but we needed to join the 2 bits together. There was no good me going off from one direction going, ta-da, this is what Teams does, Forms, all of that sort of jazz, and that's where we go. But I need to do some research for my dissertation, or I need to do some research for X, Y, and Z. Oh, wow, can't do that. I haven't done that. It's not very good. You're a good head of learning technology, aren't you? It's mint. So being able to bring those 2 together and have something which you could rely on with a library management system and rely on within the ed tech side of things, it started to build that confidence. And I know I keep saying confidence all the time, but it was huge because I then had to get the staff involved in it. The staff were buying into it. They were then referring students because they couldn't go to that physical place. They couldn't just go to the library. They'll sort you out. Well, how do I do the library? The staff needed to know, as in teaching staff, not the library staff, they needed to know that they were able to say, log on to Koha, use your student login and all of the details that you've got there anyway, because we sorted all of that side of it out, and the students could just get access to it like that, rather than it being a right dog's dinner of trying to get on. So logins and everything else were made our lives easier. Jake was able to sort of synchronize everything with our Active Directory and make it so that it was a single sign-in process. So again, the students didn't want to have a separate password for that and forget the password. It worked in line with everything that we had on 365. It worked, and that was the key thing. But I'm standing here and I'm saying, all of this, and they were great, and X, Y, and Z. We had problems. We did, and I'm not going to, again, I'll speak the truth. But I tell you what, we came up with the solutions out of that as well, both on NCG's part, but also on PTFS part. They were there for us to be able to help us move on to the next step, because it was like Spaghetti Junction, looking at, I don't know which way to go, how we do it, but we broke it down and we managed to get there for the good of the students. In order to sort of, again, it works in and around what we've been trying to do. Everything that we've implemented across NCG hasn't just been about bringing a new library management system in and signing up with 365. I can say that. I'm tech by trade. That's my background. That's where I've come from. And that's, well, bully for me. That's great. But not all of the students are that way inclined. They don't have that level of knowledge. Not all staff are. And that's no discredit to them at all. But that's just the way it is. So we needed to go back to that foundation again and get to a place where staff knew where they could rely on things, they could go and get some information, students could get some information and understand. I know being in a classroom full of 20, 16 to 18-year-olds who you would imagine would know what it's about to use tech because they've grown up in the 20th, the 21st century. They're there and they should know. They don't. They don't all know. They might know how to go onto Facebook and TikTok and all of those sorts of things, but do they really know how to use Word, OneDrive, Teams? No, they don't. That's not what they do. And we needed to upskill them to be able to do it, because Koha sits right in between that. It's a technical system, an electronic system that they need to use in order to search, research, do whatever they need to do. And that's where you then get that engagement, that confidence, the staff being able to use it, and you see the usage stats starting to go up. So we've created it's electronic guide for them. Don't want to print it off. Don't print it off. I don't print things. But we created the guide. And in there, we've got links. I don't want to put them all on, but we've got a link to the library management system, Koha, so they can go on, they're aware of it, they hear about it first off. When I first started teaching, it was all about hooks. That's what I was taught. That's what I was told I needed to do. Create hooks and people will remember. So that's the hook. You'll see Outlook, OneDrive, Teams, Word, PowerPoint. You'll see all of those names. I'm not going to tell you what they are, but you'll see them. And then next week, when I come and talk to you later on, and I mention OneDrive, you'll go, oh, yeah, I've heard of that before. And then we'll talk about it again. Koha was the same thing. We mentioned Koha, and then they go, oh, I don't know what that is. I'm not a clue. But then when I speak to them the following week, and they see them refer back to the guide, they've got the guidance they need to be able to use it. So it wasn't just about implementing it. All of the technical stuff that we needed to do with the team, bringing the libraries together as a group of colleges was a key thing. But we then needed to buy into the staff, teaching staff, students, and get everybody involved in that so that the whole thing was a success. And everybody felt comfortable enough having their say. One of my favourite bits, and it ties into this, and I wanted to put it in because it kind of backs up a little bit what I've been saying. I don't know, has anybody seen this? Have we read it? Couple of nods? Yes, no? Go on, somebody say yes, just for a laugh. Go on, please. Yeah, get in. That's why it was at the front door. So have people seen this, yes or no? No? Oh, it's mint. When I got my job as head of learning technology and digital learning, which it's like Mr. Kippen, it's an exceedingly long title. And I'm never going to change it because that joke's never going to grow old, is it? Well, I don't think so anyway. But it's number 56 times I've said it. When I got the job and the way things had changed into this digital world, the government wrote a wonderful white paper on the future opportunities for education and technology in England. And it underlines everything that we're trying to do as NCG across all of the colleges to be able to bring technology and education together. And the best bit about it is they even made a word for it, EdTech. How good's that? So obviously the top two are important, but the red ones at the bottom are my personal favourites. Evidence-based EdTech teaching resources were most popular form of future support and being selected by just over half, 51% of teachers in the survey. So teaching resources, 51% of the teachers said that they were actually using it and they were most popular. Hang on a sec, that goes back to why we brought Koha in, why we brought all the Microsoft stuff in, we've got JISC books in and everything like that. So that's my favourite number one. Favourite number two is the next most popular form of policy support was the introduction of national resource centres, such as an online directory of resources. Ran out of breath. Which was selected by approaching 2/3 of teachers. So again, we've got an online directory of resources. Hang on a second, is that what Koha is? Is that what we've been trying to do with the JISC books and everything like that? Hey, it's clever that, and I didn't write that, but there'd be two favourite points in it. But it's a wonderful white paper. Skim through it, and the data and the information that they've got based around that is proving the direction in which they want education to go in. So we, as NCG, have put that foundation in order to be able to move forward and move on and develop. Yes, I'm speaking very much from an educational point of view, but the same theory, in my humble opinion, could apply across every walk of life, because that's the direction that we want our students to go in. So, 10 minutes early, I think I am anyway, but I didn't want to just prattle on for ages. Has anybody got any questions? I know we're very quiet, but I'm happy to answer questions or try and answer questions if possible. I don't want anything thrown at me, because I'm not that agile moving out of the way. But does anybody have any questions, any thoughts, actually Rob, no? Yes, please, hello. Yes, lovely question. And it was as if I'd actually spoken to you because I'd forgotten to mention that bit. So it was beautifully timed. So thank you. Yes, what we're looking to do now is because we've got the confidence in the system, in Koha specifically, because we've got the confidence in that, we're looking at the plugins that are available. So I was mentioning before about how intrigued the library staff were about it. Carousels was a key. It was on the wish list, and we put it on. The excitement that appeared when carousels were made available in the OPAC was honestly, you would have thought that I'd given them thousands of pounds. What, we can have a carousel. And he even said it with a high pitched voice as well. And I said, I went, yeah, you can, you really can, you really can. And so we put them on and they love it. So yeah, we're starting to kind of now we're about a year and a half into it of whereabouts we are with Koha, and we're now started building on that foundation as to where we're going to go with it, and see what we can have. We'd like to have probably all of them. I think if Pete had his own way, we could have all of them in. But yeah, we're certainly looking at that. Any other questions? Though? Yes, sir. Oh, go on, you've got microphones and stuff. Tell you what, I'm going to walk down here. I'm going to get a mouthful of that. Been looking at that while I've been standing up there.
Just a quick one. How big was the team for the implementation? Did you have like 2 or 3 people from each college, or did you have one, central migration team, and how many from PTFS were there? Just to get a scale of it, really.
Yeah, there was obviously me as the central. So I was the main one based at NCG. We had between 1 or 2 in each library, depending. And what I must say is that not all of the libraries had librarians in them, so that it made it easier in one respect because we could get guidance from librarians. Some were learning technologists, some were specialists in their field based in the library. And there was about, I don't know, about 5, 6 from Koha, for Koha.
Well, yeah, I mean, certainly the core.
Yeah, but there's millions of them, really. That thing that was on the board is deceiving. No, there was core central people who we spoke to. Obviously, Fiona was kind of pivotal in what we were doing, moving to getting everything and basically making it the original agreement. Janet was then pivotal in what we were actually trying to do and understand how we could do it. And then sort of Jake and Bernard. See, I'm giving you name checks now, Bernard, so we're all right. I'll be off in a minute and it'll all be fine. So yeah, so there was probably I don't know, probably 15 or so max from my side, and probably about, I don't know, 10, 5, 10, 15, 20 from Go. Something like that. I'm not sure on the numbers. But whichever happened, there were key players in it who would be able to steer it. So you didn't want too many people at the initial stages sort of having a 5 pence worth, as it were. We needed that foundation put in. Once the foundation was put in, then we're able to bring other people into it to say, right, yeah, we're steady away, and then see where we'll go from there. Okay. Anything else? Come on, there's got to be someone else. No, go, yes.
It's just on the way forward and discovery, you could have a single discovery tool like Summon or Aspen, or do you do that now?
We've got Summon at the moment. So Summon sits there at the moment, and we're looking to sort of branch that out across all of the colleges. So they've got them. So what we had was Newcastle was really the sort of the big powerhouse, as it were. That was the biggest library that we had, and that had all of those integrations in. So once we got a foundation of Koha in, we were then able to look at, right, what other sort of add-ons have you got? Summon being that discovery layer, and then being able to see where we go from there. And again, it's conversations based around licenses and access and everything else. And there's a number of different conversations, even from access to books. So someone opens that kind of worms, as it were, to say, right, if I'm searching for something, but I'm based in West Lancs, but the license is only in Newcastle, where do we go from there? And it's about trying to work out what the process would be to say, well, actually, you've only got one book, can we sort of license out that way and see how it works from there? So that's the journey we're on at the moment, looking for plugins, looking for making it look more aesthetically pleasing based on where we're at. But discovery layers, things like that are definitely the way forward for us as well. Okay. Anybody else? Any more? Come on, I've got 5 minutes. We'll just kind of, if we string it out a little bit, we'll be all right, and it'll get everybody on timing. Yes, get in there.
Probably don't need the mic, I'm quite loud as well.
What you seen as well? I'm allowed to say it.
It's like a big launch thing with your students and be like, hey, or did you do what we're thinking of doing? Which is hoping they won't notice. And just like hoping that in January we'll just like smoothly transition into Koha and they'll be like, this is no different.
That it's a delightful way of putting it, to be honest. And we kind of did it in a similar sort of way, because the licenses were expiring at different times. We sneaked it in, so we were running things along parallel just to see, right, and then it was like, ta-da, go over here, and then do it. So then you could like log on to Koha and then roll it. And then once we knew everybody was there, it was like, it's there, ta-da, big launch. So we did a little bit of both in that respect. We sent posters and QR codes and everything all over the place, getting students involved with it, made a big song and dance of it. I didn't do any singing or dancing, just for the record. I'm no good at either. But we just kind of snuck it in, made sure that students were familiar with it. So even in Newcastle, I think Newcastle was the first one that went over. That was the license that was running out first. We then encouraged the students to go onto it. And then we got some real sort of rich feedback, because it didn't, but if it did, students would come back and go, I can't search for that book, it's not working, it's not running, blah, blah, blah. All right, okay, well, go on to Liberty or Heritage or whatever and search it on there. It then meant we didn't get rubbish student feedback when it came back to national student surveys or HE surveys or anything like that. But it didn't happen. And we got some real positive stuff out. So then we had the confidence to say, right, we can have that big launch and we can say, ta-da, jazz hands, all of that sort of stuff. All right. But I did attempt to sneak it in and then just run. Got 3 minutes. There's got to be another one in there somewhere. Yes.
Did you have a set budget, and when you had your plugins, how did you manage that?
Did I have a set budget? No, they don't trust me with a budget. So, no, I didn't. And I did, in a way, I didn't want one. I knew what we were paying for the current library management systems that we had in. But it was more about the expectation. I didn't want to be blinded by the financial side of it. Yes, it was extortionate, and I couldn't afford it. We couldn't go down that route, clearly. But I still wanted to have an open mind, because it might have been that we picked somebody who was more affordable, but then we knew that we might needed something from over here. Was it a possibility to be able to be developed or anything like that? So we didn't have a budget, no. We are managed within constraints, but we were sensible about the choices that we made moving forward, and then take it from there. But they say they don't trust me with budgets. Clearly not the direction to go with me. I liken myself to a womble anyway. Anybody, it shows me age a little bit. Making good use of the things that you find. Things that the everyday folk leave behind. See, I didn't sing that either. But yeah, wombles are mint. Right, we've still got 2 minutes. That's great. We've filled that in for another 30 seconds. That was good. Thank you. Any other questions? Come on. Got to be one. Yes.
What was the increasing usage, both on the patron side or the staff side?
I don't have the actual figures for it, but I know that it was exponential, because certainly it's not a reliable review of it, because we were going through COVID when the library system started to become more apparent, so students and staff were engaging with it a lot more. I'll probably get some true data sort of over the next sort of 6 months, well, from kind of September, when we're actually off in full swing. Probably we had it last year, but then I can compare like for like based on it. But from a staff point of view, it's gone up exponentially. They're involved in it. They're using it. The library staff, like I said before, are confident using it, and they're wanting to use it, and they're wanting to develop it. So that speaks volumes in itself. But the students are now we're getting a higher footfall going into the libraries, using the technology that's in there and accessing them, but also accessing kind of off-site and starting to have a look around and starting to manage. And in a way, in some respects, And it's probably the wrong way around to get the data out of it. But when library staff are contacting me to say that a student isn't on the system and can't get access, as much as that's a bad thing, it is actually a good thing as well, if you know what I mean, because I know they want to access it. Because if I hear nothing, I don't know whether that's good or bad, but if I know someone's chasing me saying, Billy can't get on, can you get him on, man? Can you get him on? And it's like, okay. And then he's on and it's running because there's some technical problem. We know we're getting usage out of it, which is a good thing. Brilliant. Do you know what? Bang, that was perfect. Bang on 12:15.